Hey, Dragon Slayers. It's been about 2 hours since my last meal. My blood sugar's 114. So, my last meal was I had a variety of Mexican meats with onions, and I had a little bit of cheese and some chicken, like diced up grilled chicken. And then I had like 5 or 6 pieces of chocolate, about yay big. So, it's going to be another dense video, so I'm going to jump right into it. Today's video is all about the root cause of obesity and the prevalence of metabolic syndrome. Obesity is currently a massive, out of control global epidemic with no signs of slowing down. As it turns out, obesity is a setting point where your fat oxidation finally equals your fat intake. Despite your chronically high carbohydrate diet, you can reverse obesity with either a low carb or a low fat diet. And of course, the most powerful strategy is to reduce both carbs and fat while increasing the percentage of protein in the diet for satiety. As you get fatter, the pressure to oxidize fat goes up. And finally, at some point, when you reach the point where your fat oxidation equals your fat intake, despite your high glycogen, you become obese, right? So it requires both high fat and high carb. Alzheimer's, Alzheimer's disease, asthma, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, especially breasts, colorectal, esophageal, uterine, renal, prostate, and pancreatic cancers, depression, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, acid reflux, fibromyalgia, gout, sleep apnea, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, stroke, coronary artery disease, and atherosclerosis, heart failure, erectile dysfunction, polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, acne, low testosterone, enlarged prostate, gynecomastia, baldness, psoriasis, lupus, peripheral neuropathy, glaucoma, nearsightedness, vertigo, tinnitus, inflammatory bowel disease, sarcopenia, tendopathy, carpal tunnel syndrome, hearing loss, macular degeneration. All of these things, we are facing an epidemic of chronic disease. And believe it or not, every single one of the things that I just mentioned, every single one of these chronic ailments mentioned, are associated with one thing: chronically high insulin levels, also known as insulin resistance or hyperinsulinemia. The most chronic diseases are either associated with or directly caused by excess energy in the body. You may have heard of metabolic syndrome, another name for insulin resistance. It's defined by the five following things: abdominal obesity, abnormal fat storage or increased waist circumference, high triglycerides, low HDL or good cholesterol, high blood pressure, and high fasting glucose. If you guys out there have prediabetes or diabetes, you are suffering from all of these, more than likely, or for sure, most of them. At the moment, over 80% of adult Americans have one or more of these findings. In fact, a recent study showed that only 12% of adult Americans are metabolically healthy, with no sign of insulin resistance. Persons with hyperinsulinemia have abnormally high fasting insulin levels and also abnormally high insulin secretion after eating. What is the cause of metabolic syndrome? The answer is simple: overfilling your energy storage capacity. As the adipocytes fill up with fat, they start refusing glucose and triglycerides, fat in the bloodstream. That's what triglycerides are. If you continue to eat more energy, it builds up in the circulation. Then insulin, which is a storage hormone, attempts to signal cells to take up more energy, but the signal is in vain since the cells are already full. The result? High insulin all the time and overflowing energy stores. Fat cells can expand dramatically in size, but they all have a maximum size limit. Your body first stores fat as harmless subcutaneous fat just under the skin. Some of this is perfectly great and not a problem at all. Some people have the ability to grow new fat cells. This goes back to the relationship that I mentioned before about hypoplasia versus hypertrophic. Hypertrophic meaning big expansion of a single cell or individual cells. Hyperplastic are cells that basically divide. And so, and if you can grow new fat cells, as long as they can sprout new fat cells and have plenty of room for fat storage, they will remain insulin sensitive and metabolically healthy. I know that these are some deep concepts, guys, but it's so important. And if you have trouble understanding this, please comment below because I love answering your questions. I try to respond to every single question. That's what I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember that together, you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.